Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another season of The Sports Bandits. I'm Brian.
And I'm Austin.
And we're here to talk to you about some college football. The season starts up a couple days from now on Thursday night, and then more games will be coming on Friday, Saturday, and even Monday. So let's start looking at our conference champions in the 5 major conferences. There's been a lot of realignment and everything. So Austin, why don't you take us through your ACC champion?
Well, my ACC champion is Virginia Tech. I think it's big that they got Florida State at home. Florida State and Virginia Tech, I think, are going to be the 2 biggest teams in the ACC this year. Having that game at home is going to be critical. Obviously, the ACC has the championship game as well. But I think not Florida State. I think Virginia Tech can get it done this year. Their division is the Coastal Division. They're a little bit easier than the Atlantic, and I think they've got what it takes this year.
Yeah, Virginia Tech's a very good team this year, and I definitely look for them to make a good deep run. But the team I'm looking at to win the ACC is Florida State. They've had great recruiting classes. They've been grooming this talent under their coach for a couple of years now. They've got a great quarterback coming back in EJ, looking to make a good run this year. I really like Florida State and the young talent they have. I see them making it all the way to the ACC championship game, winning that, and they'll be playing definitely in a BCS game, maybe even the BCS championship.
We'll see if they can live up to that talent, because it definitely was a letdown for them last year.
I agree. They had a lot of injuries, and I look for them to stay sort of healthy this year and definitely use that talent.
And they don't have OU on the schedule
that
this
is
year,
true.
which always helps.
That helps.
The next conference we're going to look at is the Big Ten Conference. With a lot of teams not being eligible for postseason play this year, definitely changes the makeup of the conference. Brian, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, I'm definitely going to step out of the side of the conference that has a lot of ineligible teams. We have Ohio State and Penn State both ineligible on one side of that in one division, one side of the conference, which pretty much gives Wisconsin almost a free pass to the Big Ten championship game. I'm actually going to take a team out of the other division, and I'm going to go with Michigan. I really like Michigan this year. They've got a lot of good talent coming back. Denard Robinson, he looks like he's ready to have a great year, going to be a good Heisman candidate this year. And I really like Michigan to push their way through their half of the conference and end up in that conference championship game. And I really look for them to take down Wisconsin in that game. I really like Michigan this year.
Yeah, Michigan's a great team. We're going to find out a lot about them really early with their big game against Alabama. But I'm going to go with Wisconsin, that team that has the easier path. They might not necessarily be the most talented team in the conference, but when it comes down to it, no matter how they do in the regular season, it's going to be nearly impossible for them not to get to the conference championship game. And I don't think they're going to do bad. I think they'll still be a 10 or 11 win team for sure. Maybe even be undefeated. But once they get there, only have to win one game against maybe a Michigan or Michigan State, possibly Nebraska. I think they have what it takes. Monty Ball, last year was my pick to win the Heisman. I thought he was the most deserving player. Great running back. If he can stay healthy all year, Wisconsin's going to be a team that people are talking about at the end of the year.
Yeah, I'm just a little concerned about them being game tested and ready to play in that conference championship game. I just don't see enough good opponents with that weak half of the conference that they're going to be playing against. I just don't think Wisconsin's going to be ready for that game. So.
Yeah, it'll be tough. They got to replace Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, the next conference we're going to talk about is the Pac-12, which has 2 teams in this conference highlighting each division, one being USC and one Oregon. Austin, who do you think takes this conference?
Well, I'm going to go with Colorado. Never mind. They're never going to win a Pac-12 championship. But no, I'll stick with USC. They've been chomping at the bit the past few years. They've been on a bowl ban. This is their first opportunity to play the bowl game in 3 years. Matt Barkley has his team motivated, has his team ready. I think they're going to roll through their conference. Oregon will give them a little bit of trouble, but I think they'll be able to get past Oregon the first time, get past them the second time, and I think they're a definite national championship contender.
Yeah, I really like USC this year. Unfortunately, I think Matt Barkley is a little overrated. I don't think he's maybe as good as people are giving him as much credit for. But I do like USC. I think they've got a very formidable schedule to make a run like this. Oregon at home, and then they would play the conference championship game if they win the conference in the regular season at home again, which would probably be Oregon. So that really gives them a huge advantage right there. So I really like USC to take this conference.
Well, the next conference we'll look at is one near and dear to us. It's the Big 12 Conference. Brian, what do you see going on here?
Well, this one has 2 new teams in West Virginia and TCU, and both teams look to make an immediate impact on this conference. I really like West Virginia's chances. I just don't know how ready they'll be to play big games every week coming from the Big East. So in the end, I like Oklahoma to take it because I think they will be able to go on the road to Morgantown and take down a West Virginia team that's had to play multiple opponents back to back to back in a row. So I like Oklahoma to do that and finish out strong and take the conference.
I agree with you on everything. If there's a team that I think is going to challenge OU, though, I think it would be TCU. I still think Oklahoma's going to win, but I think it would be TCU. They are regionally better positioned than West Virginia. I think the extra travel this year could take a toll on them. So if anybody's gonna challenge OU, it definitely would be TCU. That's obviously a big game, first weekend of December, which I think will probably be the decider in the conference championship.
All right, well, the last conference we'll look at is the SEC, which has been the premier conference in college football the last 6 or 7 years. Austin, who do you think takes this powerhouse conference this year?
Well, I'll go with a little bit of an upset here. I'm going to take South Carolina. I'm going to take Steve Spurrier and the old ball coach. They got Marcus Lattimore coming back. He's a great running back. One of the biggest things is Alabama is not on the regular season schedule. So, also being off in the Eastern Division, you don't have to play. You only have to play LSU on the road. That's going to be their toughest game. Even if they lose that, they still have a really good chance to make it to the SEC championship game and to the BCS.
Well, I really like South Carolina to make it to the SEC championship game, but unfortunately I think they'll lose to Arkansas. I really like Arkansas this year. They have a pretty formidable schedule. They've got Alabama coming to Fayetteville and LSU coming to Fayetteville. They do travel to South Carolina. I think that will be a loss for them on the season, and they'll have the chance to make that up in the SEC championship game, and I think they'll take advantage of that chance.
Okay, well, let's look at a few key games our first weekend. The first one we're going to look at is SMU at Baylor. First game without Robert Griffin III for Baylor. Is that going to be too much for them?
I don't think it is. I think Baylor, just a program overall as a whole, is better than SMU's. Losing Robert Griffin won't affect them that much. I really like Baylor to take this game.
I'm going to take SMU. I mean, when you have someone who is that important to your offense and you lose him, it's definitely hard to get over that. And I think that Baylor will struggle, especially in the first couple games, to figure themselves out offensively. I think in a SMU team that's been getting ready for this game all year is going to come out prepared, and they're going to surprise Baylor.
All right, next game is Georgia Tech, Virginia Tech. Austin, who do you think will take this game?
Well, I have Virginia Tech winning the conference, so I'm going to stick with Virginia Tech in this game. I think they're a good team, and I think they'll be around all season.
I really like Georgia Tech in this game. I think they're going to be a sleeper in the ACC. I think they're going to surprise some people this year. Virginia Tech lost a lot of key pieces to the NFL. They returned to their quarterback, but that's pretty much it. All of his supporting cast is gone. I really like Georgia Tech to maybe surprise some people in the first week of this season.
Our next game is Clemson versus Auburn. This is at a neutral site. What do you think is going to happen here?
I think Clemson had a great year last year, and they're looking to come back and have that same success and not fall off at the end of the season like they did last year. But I think that Auburn's just going to be a little too much. Auburn being that SEC team, I just don't know. I really like Auburn in this game, and I think they're going to give Clemson some fits.
I'm gonna take Clemson in this one. I think Auburn's a great team. I think this will be one of the better games to watch this weekend. You got Taj Boyd, Andre Ellington coming back for Clemson, offensive leaders. I think that's going to be enough to propel them in this opening weekend game.
Well, titita. Let's travel to Dublin, Ireland to talk about Notre Dame and Navy. Who do you think is going to take that game in Dublin?
That was kind of scary to listen to. I'm going to pick Navy. I would have picked Notre Dame, but they've suffered a lot of suspensions for this first game. Tommy Rees won't be playing. Other players won't be playing. I just think there's going to be no luck for the Irish in Ireland.
Well, I'm going to stick with Notre Dame. They have had a lot of suspensions. I gave Navy a nice consideration, but ultimately, you look at last season, and Notre Dame just slaughtered Navy at home. Understandably, it was at Notre Dame, and Notre Dame has had its problems with Navy over the past 4 or 5 years, but ultimately, I think Notre Dame's too strong of a program and too solid in other areas to let those suspensions affect them.
I wonder what Mike Golick would have to say about that.
Yeah.
Our final game, definitely the biggest game the first week, probably the biggest game of the first few weeks of the season. Top 10 matchup, Michigan versus Alabama from Dallas. Brian, who's your pick?
Well, this is a really tough one because I think both these teams are top 5 teams at the end of the season. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to take the upset team. I'm going to take Michigan. I think Denard Robinson coming back is going to be able to really get at Alabama, losing a lot of their defensive players from last year. They're going to have a lot of players that played in backup roles in the past come in and try to stop one of the premier players in college football in Denard Robinson, and I really think that Michigan can take advantage of that early and hold off at the end.
Well, I'm going to go with Alabama. I'm going to go with the SEC team here. Michigan, obviously very talented on the offensive side of the ball, but I'm going to stick with the national champions here. I think they know how to play in a big game. There's nothing about this game that's going to intimidate them. I think they're going to come in, they're going to bring a good fan base for this game. A.J. McCarron is going to lead this team on offense, and I think they're going to win. But could be a decently high-scoring game.
Yep. Well, thank you all for watching. It's good to be back. Are you ready for some football?
I think I'm ready.
I'm ready for some football as well. I hope you are too, and I hope you enjoy this first week of games, and I hope you stay tuned to us this week and through the rest of the season. Again, I'm Brian.
And I'm Austin.
And we're the Sports Bandits.